January 2014 marked the 100th birthday of the financial powerhouse known as Merrill Lynch. The former chairman of Merrill Lynch International and son of one of its founders went to Amherst College and currently lives in Vermont, Winthrop Smith. He recently wrote a book about the beginnings and history of Merrill Lynch, Catching Lightning in a Bottle, How Merrill Lynch Revolutionized the Financial World. Thank you so much, Win, for joining me today.
It's a pleasure being here.
So let's talk, before we start talking about the book, we were talking off camera about this. You have family ties to this area.
I do. My dad grew up in South Hadley Falls. His father was a member of the community there. My grandmother was just north of Amherst College. So our roots go back really into the early 1600s.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. And I know the main topic is supposed to be about the book, but of course we love any local ties to this area. Did that have anything to do with you going to Amherst College because you had family in this area?
You know, I think it did, because I ended up going to Deerfield first and then Amherst. And from a child, I came up here to visit my grandmother all the time. I love the area, so I'm sure it led me in this direction.
All right, now you have known all of the CEOs of Merrill Lynch. That's pretty impressive. And of course, you were able to write about them, but you've known them all. What was that like?
I was lucky. You know, I knew Charlie Merrill when I was still very young, but I used to accompany my dad to visit him at his Florida place. And so even though I was 6 or 7 years old, you know, I remember him very clearly. And then I remember, of course, my father, who led the firm for many years, and right up to the last person, John Thane.
All right, so talk to us about the book. Talk about what is in it, the good, the bad, the ugly, like you mentioned.
Right. Well, it is the history of Merrill Lynch, but underlying it is a thesis that good companies are built and they survive and become sustainable because they have a good set of values, good principles, good corporate culture that really enables them to do well in good and bad times. But if those principles and those values and that culture is thrown away, as was the case at the end of Merrill Lynch's era, that company can fall precipitously.
Now, and of course, that's one of probably the low points that you would say. Let's start with some of the high points.
Yes.
What are some of the fond memory, or what are some really those high points in Merrill Lynch that kind of just stick out to you?
Well, I start with probably that principle that Charlie Merrill really believed in. That's the customer's interest has to come first. And he built his life about that. He preached it, he handed it down. And you know, Charlie himself was a visionary. He brought revolution to the financial world, but also to the grocery business. He started Safeway stores. So he was involved in two industries in a very dynamic way. And then in 1939, my dad actually convinced Merrill to come back into the business. He had left it for 10 years. And that was an era where people didn't trust Wall Street, a lot like today. They didn't believe that the average American get a fair break. They thought it was corrupt. They thought the 1% was dominating. And they came up with a strategy of bringing Wall Street to Main Street and gaining the trust of the average American, bringing integrity to the markets, separating research so it was independent, taking their brokers off of commission and paying them a salary and a bonus if they did well for their customers, training their people, educating the public. And it was really revolutionary the way they democratized the capital markets and allowed the average American to invest in the market.
What other keys to success do you think that they had that kind of set them apart from every other financial institution?
Well, you know, I talked about the values and the morals and the ethics they had, but also they were people that were ordinary people. They had humility. They didn't have hubris. They didn't fly around in corporate jets and drive limousines. They related to the average person. The average person related to them. And I think that's one of the issues that a lot of people have with Wall Street right now. It seems disconnected. And I think people have to reach out to Main Street, and they have to understand Main Street a little bit better in order for Main Street to once again trust and appreciate Wall Street.
So talk about there's kind of some high points, and then starting towards the ends, you know, 2006, 2007, they get acquired by Bank of America, and that kind of, would you say, is the ending almost, or?
Well, I wouldn't call it an ending, because I would say it was saved by Bank of America, and I think, you know, within the Bank of America umbrella, the old Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith exists today. It's the private wealth side, and I think it can do very well. But what happened in the early part of 2000, 2001 is a new CEO came in. He didn't understand the history. He didn't appreciate the culture. In fact, he openly disdained the culture of the firm. He mocked what Mother Merrill was. He radically started to change the nature of the business that we had built for many decades. And then when earnings lagged, he realized in order to catch up, he had to get into highly leveraged business, the subprime mortgages, the CDO business, took the leverage of the firm to 35-1, and Merrill Lynch nearly collapsed. If it hadn't been saved by Bank of America, it might have gone the way of Lehman Brothers.
What do you see in its future?
I see in the future, everybody says, oh, can't we go back to the past? Well, the given reality is no, it's part of Bank of America. What I now see, which is very encouraging, is the two leaders of Merrill Lynch, Winthrop Smith, grew up in the firm, know the history, appreciate the culture, and they are bringing that back. And so now, as I've been invited to speak to a number of offices, I really sense that that's there. They're good professionals there, they're doing the right thing, and they understand those initial principles. That begins first and foremost with understanding and making sure the client's interest is coming first and acting with integrity at all times as well.
So hopefully an exciting future in its sight. Now, this is the first book you've written, only book. I mean, are you any plans for any more, or are you kind of like, nope, this is it, I'm good?
I think this is the first and only. I have a great second career running Sugarbush Resort in Vermont, so I can't take too many days away from being on the slopes.
Of course not. But how was the experience of writing the book? How was it from start to finish?
It was great. And, I hesitated at first, and I had a good collaborator, a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist by the name of Bill Eckenbarger, who worked on it with me. And then my wife convinced me I really should do this because it brought a little bit of closure to my sad departure. And what is making me feel really good now is the Merrill Lynch families who've read it appreciate it. It's bringing back fond memories to them. So I think I've given many people a nice gift by really reflecting the true history of the firm.
All right, so maybe more comfortable on the ski slopes than writing a book, but thank you for coming on and telling us about it.
Thank you very much.